And today we want to focus the conversation around the impact social media can have on kids' body image. A survey from the Harris Poll found 69% of parents of children under 18 think social media apps and filters have a negative influence on their child's body image. This comes as 65% of parents agree that social media trends related to appearance, like diet or exercise, have a negative influence on body image. So for today's Wellness Wednesday, I am sitting down with licensed counselor Janelle Butler for a closer look at what can be done to help young people who may be struggling with this issue. Janelle, thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me yet again. I
Yes,
appreciate you.
Absolutely. A familiar face here on News 19 this morning. So let's go ahead and get into this conversation.
Yeah.
Social media, body image. From what you are seeing, have you seen the impacts that social media is having on the way that young people view themselves?
Absolutely, hands down. I can't even look at a post from social media without seeing it filtered. There's a new filter that comes out every other day.
Yeah.
And social media, just the constant looking and viewing of it, they will troll through
Yeah.
for hours and hours on end. At least 7 hours are spent on screen time.
Wow.
So that's a lot of repetitious imaging, and with that comes the constant concept of criticism. Always criticizing, and it's kind of like putting in that message that you're not enough. You're not skinny enough, you're not pretty enough, you're not tall enough, you're not whatever, enough. And that's what the filters do.
Yeah.
They fix it up, right?
Exactly.
Even us as adults. Like if you think about how many
Speak on
filtered
it.
pictures, hello now.
Okay, that's a whole nother conversation for another
Okay.
day. But we want to focus on children because we know that they are continuing
Yeah.
to grow. We know that they are very easily influenced or more
Absolutely.
susceptible to feeling like they are not fill in the blank enough. So
Right.
what are some things that parents can look out for in their child to say, okay, social media is really impacting the way that they view themselves in a negative way? What are some of those signs?
Absolutely. Well, one thing I can definitely say is that with the rise of social media, there has also been a rise in anxiety and depression, especially among young children and young people. And so what you want to look for is the constant criticism of self, or the lack of feeling comfortable in self. You want to look at if your child is comparing themselves to others. You want to look if your child is actually trying to conform to other looks that they are seeing within social media. But you as a parent, or as just role models around, you also want to co-watch, co-view with them, so that it opens up the door to have healthy conversation, not just about the parameters of social media or the safety around it, but also about how the child is feeling when they're looking at stuff, and how you as the adult are feeling. Y'all can actually have a vulnerable conversation with one another, which makes it safe for the child to not feel like, oh, I have to look like what's on there, because that's not really real. That's been filtered.
Exactly. Okay, so I'm so glad you touched on that. That can seem like an awkward conversation to have with the child, right?
Yeah.
So how do we, as whether they're spiritual mentors or just mentors in general, how do you approach that conversation, have that conversation? What does that even look like?
It looks like honesty, to be quite frank. When you are looking at your child, you can even start with how you feel when you look at something, with how you have compared yourself with magazine pictures or the commercials or anything like that. You can actually start there, but you want to create a space where it's okay to actually voice that you don't feel comfortable with the way that you're looking.
Yeah.
And so you want to bring a sense of normalcy. The more you have a conversation, the more normal it seems, so then it's not a taboo thing to talk about.
Absolutely. And what can you do to help instill that confidence and remind them that they are enough as they are?
Listen, affirmations go a long way, but not even just the affirmations of them, affirming yourself. The children do what they see, not what they're told.
That's very true. That's very true. Thank you so much for joining us this morning. A very, very important conversation, Janelle.
Yeah.
We appreciate you giving us that expert advice and that wisdom, because we know that this is something that impacts so many families, and really from students, young children, all the way up to adults. So definitely something that we can take with us as we are navigating social media.